It took me years and years as a Christian to really grab onto that. Now doctrinally I knew it. But to live my life by that baptism within, where is God? If you have the privilege of taking a comparative religion class, William Jewell, anywhere, in all likelihood, the instructor would categorize all religions in the world this way, in a comparative religion class. We would have Christianity, we would have Buddhism, we would have Hinduism, etc., etc., etc. In that scheme of things, in that paradigm. There are really mostly two categories of world religion. All religions, generally speaking, are either in one or two of these categories. Number one, there are world religions where their God or gods are infinite. As I was saying, in a world religion class, in a college class, all religions essentially would be divided into two categories. Those that serve and worship an infinite God or gods, but infinite and impersonal. Infinite but impersonal. For instance, Hinduism. You have infinite gods. You want to go to Nirvana, but their God never shows up. Not very personal at all. Well, there are religions, world religions in that category. Infinite, but not personal. Then on the flip side of that, such as Buddhism, just the opposite, there's the other category of religions where their God or gods is personal. I mean, how personal can you get in Buddhism? They carve out their own gods. They're everywhere. They're on their shelves in homes. They're in temples. But they're not very big. They made them. So on the one hand, you have gods that are big but not close, infinite but not personal, or close but not big, personal and finite. I said that to say this. The uniqueness about the Christian faith, it fits in neither category. Christianity is the only, quote, religions in a comparative sense where our God is big enough and infinite enough to create the universe, then personal enough to visit it. How close is God? Oh, that's what I want to finish talking about. Oh, he's close. Oh, no religion makes this claim that God is on the inside of you. So, let's go on. That which is born of the flesh is flesh. That which is born of the Spirit is spirit. Do not marvel, Nicodemus, that I said to you, you must be born again. The wind blows where it wishes. You hear the sound of it, but cannot tell where it comes from, where it goes. So is everyone who's born of the Spirit. Nicodemus answered and said to him, how? Nicodemus was always saying how, when he really should have been saying, wow. Wow. Okay. How can these things be? Jesus answered and said to him, are you a teacher of Israel? Do not know these things? Most assuredly, I say to you, this is interesting. We speak what we know and testify what we have seen. Who's the Lord talking about there? The other two gods of the Trinity. And you do not receive our witness. Nicodemus, if I have told you earthly things and you do not believe, what earthly things did the Lord just tell Nicodemus? He's trying to get across this invisible world of his that's bigger than the universe and closer than his own face. And he said, I'm just going to have to illustrate what I'm talking about. My invisible world is like a birth, a child given birth. It's a mystery, isn't it? Nicodemus didn't get that. He still said, how? He said, well, I'll give another illustration. It's like the wind. It's there. You just don't see it. And so these were the earthly things, he said. If he said, you don't understand those things, how will you believe if I tell you heavenly things, Nicodemus? In other words, I'm getting ready to lay something on you. You want to hear something heavenly? You thought that was something? Listen, as teenagers would say, listen to this, Jack. No one has ascended to heaven, but he who came down from heaven, that is the Son of Man. In other words, he's talking about himself. I want to stop right there before I finish what Jesus said. Time out. No one has ascended, but I have, to heaven. No, wait a minute. No, he hasn't. Acts chapter 1 hasn't happened yet. The actual ascension where they were standing on the Mount of Olives looking up hasn't happened. He said, no one has ascended to heaven yet, but I, the Son of Man. Now get this, he didn't say the Son of God. Nicodemus, there's a man who's been going back and forth. He's been ascended, descended, ascended, descended. In fact, back up a couple chapters in John chapter 1, Jesus and his disciples were walking down the road one day, and Jesus saw something. He bumps into Nathanael and said, I saw you while you were under the fig tree. Nathanael said, Rabbi, you're the Son of God. You're the King of Israel. And Jesus said, just because I said that, you believe? He said, Nathanael, you will see greater things. You will see the heaven open. If Jesus could go back and forth, ascend, descend, and Nathanael could live under an open heaven, both of them as man. I said all that to say this, and I'm going to go on. Everybody that's been immersed in the Spirit, like Jesus, the Son of Man, who come out of the River Jordan, the heavens were opened, and they remained open. The only closed heaven you have is between your ears. Every Christian immersed in the Spirit lives under an open heaven. Paul put a language to this later on in the book of Ephesians, where he said, we're seated in the heavenlies in Christ Jesus. Jesus, let me finish what Jesus said that day. So I'm about to blow your mind, Nicodemus. No one has ascended to heaven, but I have. I can go back and forth the whole time. No one has ascended to heaven, but he who came down from heaven, that is the Son of Man, who is in heaven. John chapter 3, verse 13. I think that's the most remarkable utterance ever to come out of the lips of Jesus. He had both feet standing on earth. And he says, I'm the Son of Man who is in heaven. Now, this is not some strange new doctrine. The early saints understood this. I'm talking about the baptism within. Where is God? Let me tell you where he is. John in chapter 14, 14th chapter of John, Jesus said another statement. I don't understand it theologically, but I understand it in my spirit. Verse 20, verse 23, John chapter 14. Jesus said, at that day, you will know. Two things there. At that day, at what day? When we as saints, as believers, number one, realize that we're not trying to get heaven to come to earth. We're going to heaven. We're releasing heaven on earth. We're seated in the heavenlies. I tell people, tempted humor here. Sometimes they'll tell me, just keep looking up, Lynn, things will get better. You've heard that. I say, no, you got it all wrong. In fact, you got it backwards. I don't want to keep looking up. Keep looking down. We're seated in heavenly places. Tempted humor. But that's the fact, that our heavens will remain open. We see visions. We see angels, this invisible reality. At that day, you will know what? Three things. At that immersion within, when you realize, yes, God is transcendent, but for you, he's immanent. There's the immanence of God. There's the transcendence of God. Jesus is telling us, pay attention to the immanence of God. Pay attention how close I am. I'm closer than a brother who sticks closer than a brother. I'll tell you where I am. At that day you will know what? That I am in the Father, he says. And that you are in me. And that I am in you. If anyone loves me, he'll keep my word. My Father will love him, and we will come to him and make our home with him. Where is God the Father? According to Jesus. He's in the Father. The Father's in Jesus. Jesus is in you. You are in the Father. The Father's in you. You are in Jesus. Jesus is in the Father. The Father's in you. Jesus is in you. It's this revelation, it's this emphasis, I think, that needs to return to us, the baptism within. That's all I'm trying to say. The early saints got this. Joseph, though he was 38 years old, walked in this world of seeing the invisible, seeing angels. One quote, then we're going to get on the second baptism. We'll call it a wrap. You doing okay? Volume 2, page 16. Illustration of the within baptism in your church history. On the evening of the 21st of January, 1836, the First Presidency met in the West Schoolroom of the Kirtland Temple, at which time they ordained Joseph Smith Sr., Patriarch of the Church, and also received their patriarchal blessings under his hands. Joseph states concerning this meeting and other matters as follows: the heavens were opened to us. How were they opened? I saw the celestial kingdom. I saw the glory. Whether in body or out, I cannot tell. I saw the transcendent beauty of the gate through which the heirs of the kingdom will enter, which was like circling flames of fire. Also the blazing throne of God, where was seated the Father and the Son. I saw the beautiful streets of that kingdom, which had the appearance of being paved with gold. I saw Father's Adam, and I saw Abraham. I saw my father. I'm quoting Joseph. I saw my father and my mother and my brother Alvin, that has long since slept. And I marveled at how it was that he had obtained an inheritance in that kingdom, in the celestial kingdom, seeing that he had departed this life before the Lord had set his hand to gather Israel the second time, and had not been baptized for this gospel, for the remission of sins. Thus came the voice of the Lord, where? Saying, all who have died without a knowledge of this gospel, who would have received it if they'd been permitted, to tarry, shall be heirs in the celestial kingdom.